Hey guys, so I just got done finally watching the new home invasion thriller, Becky. This is the movie that I got a few months ago at my local drive-in that was one of those independent movies that no one heard of until it was about to be released. And it was a movie that, like a lot of people, I'm sure, caught my eye pretty fucking quickly. And the fact that it was being advertised as a home invasion thriller with Kevin James playing a neo-Nazi and obviously playing the villain. And yeah, that Kevin James was playing a neo-Nazi, the guy who played King and Queens, Paul Blart Mall Cop, all the Adam Sandler's one of Adam Sandler's buddies. Yeah, that Kevin James, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. I'm a person that always likes to see actors and even directors try to go out of their wheelhouse and try to do something different that they usually don't do, and go out of their comfort zone. And like sometimes that succeeds. It happens. It's been going on for years and years and years, but it seems to be more prevalent over the last few years. I mean, I know it's been going on since probably the dawn of film. That like comedic actors try to go venture off into serious roles or like dark roles. Be Jim Carrey and Robin Williams are two probably the best examples I can think of. Hell, Adam Sandler, especially that Uncut Gems role, which I hope we get more of him, because even though he didn't win an Oscar, which is still horseshit. But also there has been times where that has not worked. I know there's been a lot of movies that lately that has had a lot of these a lot of movies out lately that have had comedic actors take on serious roles. I remember there was one with David Spade a few years ago. It was like a thriller, and I know fucking Simon Pegg just did one which I heard wasn't very good. But I was intrigued. I could believe Simon Pegg as a villain in a movie or a sadistic person, and I think he could pull it off. I hadn't seen the movie, but I heard it wasn't very good. What's it called? Inheritance or something like that? I forgot what the hell it was called. But yeah, I was curious. I'm not a big Kevin James fan, but like maybe he's better at fucking being a psychopath than being a comedian. I don't know. And it's out of the realm possibly. And I saw the trailers for this movie and I thought it looked like a lot of fun. Everything about it looked like a lot of fun. It looked like something that would be right up my fucking alley. And you know what? I fucking love this movie. I love this movie. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. I love this movie. It is ridiculous as shit, but I had so much fun. I have this, honestly, out of all the movies I've watched so far since this pandemic started, on demand, this is the most fun I've had watching a movie on demand during the pandemic. I was never bored. I was always intrigued to what the fuck was going on screen. It's one of those movies that I just couldn't take my eyes off of, like the shit going on. This movie's a lot of fucking fun. It's an hour and a half, and it's an easy sit. It doesn't feel long. It doesn't overstate its welcome. Although in some parts I'll get into, I think they could have extended some stuff a little bit, but I really fucking enjoyed this movie. The acting in this movie is really good. It is really fucking good. I thought for a movie like this, the acting was really solid. Lulu Wilson, who plays their little girl Becky, is really fucking good. This girl, like, she don't know who Lulu Wilson is. I couldn't recognize her from her name, but I recognized her work. She was the little girl that gets possessed in Annabelle Creation, and also the little girl that gets possessed in Ouija Origin of Evil. She has a tendency, for some reason, to play roles where she's a little girl who gets possessed. I don't know why, but fuck it. In this one, she's this little girl at the beginning who is going through some horrible things where her mom died a year ago from cancer, and she's still really affected by it, and like dealing with all these emotions. And she goes to live with her dad, who's Joel McHale, who just drops on her the announcement that him and his girlfriend are gonna get married, and she's not happy about it. And then Kevin James and fucking Nazis come and invade her home, and that's the rest of it. She's a really goddamn good actress. She is really good. Like, her emotional scenes are really good. I believed her. This girl could be a really good actress for years to come, honestly. She's like, everything I've seen her in, she's been really good. I liked her in both Annabelle Creation and Ouija Origin of Evil, and she's really good in this. Joel McHale was actually not bad. This is like only the second serious movie of his I've seen. I remember that was that fucking Deliver Us from Evil. Remember that movie? I'm probably the only one who does remember that. It was like him and Eric Bana were like, it was a buddy cop movie, where a cop procedural movie where they end up coming upon exorcisms or some shit. I forgot what the fuck that movie was going on in the movie. I only remember seeing that, and I remember like, what the fuck? Joel McHale is like he's in a serious role. I'm like, okay, I thought he was better than this. It was like I liked him a lot in this movie. As this dad, this sympathetic, dad who's trying to help or maintain his relationship with his daughter, who, they're kind of estranged because of her mom passing away. I guess I should get into Kevin James. Sorry, Kevin James. Kevin James, I thought, did a pretty good job. I will give him a lot of credit. He did a good job. There are moments where it is Kevin James, and it is like almost kind of distracting at first. Like, why is Paul Blart Mall Cop a Nazi? But he is really good in this movie. I thought he pulled it off. He could be pretty intimidating. He was. I thought a pretty good I thought he did a pretty good breakout role. This is a pretty good breakout role for him, as doing a serious role. And honestly, not making this up, I think this is probably his best role to date. Maybe he needs to start doing more serious acting. Maybe try to play an intimidating villain. Why the fuck not? Maybe I think he didn't do too bad. I give him credit for trying to do something different, and not just being the fatty fall down comedian that he's been for the past decade or so. Also, I want to take special mention, the big guy, the big black-haired guy that is his henchman in this movie. When he popped up in this movie, I was like, that guy looks familiar. And I'm like, he gets a lot of screen time in this movie, and he is a big part of this movie. He has his own story arc in this movie. And I'm sitting there where the fuck have I seen this guy? I even jokingly said, he looks like a wrestler. I said, I don't know. I said, I just, because his size, he looks like somebody who could be a wrestler. And I look it up. He's fucking Kurgan from WWE. The hell? I was like, where the fuck is... First off, I didn't even know Kurgan was still alive. There's probably a lot of people that... If you're a WWE fan, you probably remember him. Yeah. If you remember him, yeah, Kurgan's in this fucking movie. Yeah, and to his credit, he's a way better actor than he was a wrestler. So good for him. Good for him. He was a shitty wrestler, but he's not a bad actor. He's given a story arc where he is he is the henchman for him, but he ends up, dealing with some little kids and also dealing with Becky at the same time, and he starts seeing what he's doing is wrong because he doesn't really want to hurt kids or do anything like that, because he he feels bad throughout this movie, and he kind of almost wants his own redemption and shit like that. And he kind of is a pretty cool, sympathetic character. I did like him in this movie. And one of my favorite moments in this movie involved him in this movie. I'll talk about in a second, but I thought he was really good. I thought he was pretty fun. And, like, he's a better actor than he was a fucking wrestler. Well, but now I talk about the performances and everything else. That was probably one of the best. One of the better parts of this movie. The reason why I love this movie the most, though, unfortunately, is this movie is fucking ridiculous. It is so goddamn ridiculous. And I loved it about this. I love that about this movie. Because, honestly, if you've seen the trailers for this movie, it's exactly what you expect. From what this movie, from the trailers, the trailers sell you this movie is exactly what you get in this fucking movie. And I appreciate the fuck out of it. Because from the trailers, you're like, it's a home invasion thriller where this little girl fights back and kind of starts murdering people, or like fighting back against these like Nazis and shit like that. But the way that this little girl fucking is murdering and like fighting back against these people, like handedly murdering these fucking Nazis with such precision and such skill that she's like a fucking female Rambo from, like, Last Blood. Like, I almost half expected her to, like, cut a guy's heart out and fucking pull it out of his chest. I mean, Jesus Christ. It would not have been absurd. This little girl is fucking, like, it's ridiculous. She's, like, making makeshift weapons out of, like, rulers and pencils and, fucking... that scene with a super soaker, which her and Kevin James in a super soaker, which was one of the most absurd fucking things I've seen in a while, but it was awesome. I loved it. Like at the 40-minute point, when there's a point where she stabs, like, it begins, like, where she stabs Kevin James right in the eye with the key that he's been looking for. That's the whole point of this movie, is he's looking for a key, and she just, like, stabs it right in his eye and fucking pulls his eye out. And I was like, that was a really fucking cool scene. I was like, and people will say, oh, that's a little absurd. Like, but no, like, she was just defending herself, and she just accidentally stabbed this guy in the eye. But then, minutes later, she's like this skilled killer, cold-blooded killer all of a sudden. I don't know how she becomes this, but she does. And it's like she's, like, almost like John Wick levels of, like, able to kill people. It's, like, fucking ridiculous. It is insane. Like, it is literally insane. I couldn't... I was laughing my ass off. Like, with some of these the kills are gruesome in this movie. I'll give it that. Their kills are fucking gruesome in this movie. And, like, she has, like, it's just crazy. Like, I don't know how. Like, I was expecting maybe they would explain how she's so skilled at killing people, but they never do. Like, she just thinks about her mom or something like that, has a memory of her mom, and then she just goes full-blown psycho or something. I don't know. She looks at a picture, and then she just starts getting the skill to become fucking Rambo, John Wick, and, like, how good or precise she is at killing people. It's fucking crazy. It's like, if Kevin McAllister was a psycho... Like, Kevin McAllister in Home Alone was a psychopath. Really, he kind of was, but this is if he was, like, full-blown murdering people. Like, that's the best way to describe it. He was, like, it's crazy, man. Man, lost my concentration. Some of my favorite moments, like I said, one of my favorite moments of this movie, other than, like, the Super Soaker scene and a few others, was that scene where Kurgan, I'm just gonna call him Kurgan, finds her, and he just full blown choke slams her. I'm like, what? I just like, I died laughing. I'm like, he just choke slammed her ass. And he just starts throat punching her. I'm like, God damn. It's not how she survives that, but okay. Okay. Yeah. Guy his size fucking throat punching you, whatever. But that made me fucking laugh. I don't know why that made me laugh so hard. It was just the sight of Kurgan chokeslamming a 10-year-old little girl, 12-year-old little girl, just made me laugh uproariously. I don't think there's anything else. There is one thing I can't complain about. I will complain about in this movie. And that is, well, other than that, like, some characters make some really stupid decisions, especially Joel McHale halfway through this movie, where all he had to do was one thing, and he just fucking made everything worse by doing something else. And I'm not going to explain because it's getting the spoilers, but it's like, what the fuck? But there's one big problem I had with this movie that made me sit there at the end of this movie going, what the fuck? So, the whole plot of this movie, the whole point of this movie is that Kevin James and his buddies go to this house for a specific reason. They're looking for a key. They're looking for a key that Lulu Wilson finds early on in the movie in her fort. She finds it in her fort, and it's like a little box, and she keeps it, and she won't fucking give it to him. And so you're sitting there the whole movie going, okay, so like they're kind of very vague. Like they keep mentioning, like, what the fuck is this? Like people keep asking Kevin James, like, what is this key? Why is it so important? Why did you have to do this for this fucking key? And he is very vague and like explaining what this key is and something about racial relations or I don't fucking know. So I'm like, what the fuck is this key? And would you fucking believe it if I told you they never tell you what this key is and what it opens? They never explain it. The movie ends and they never explain it. I went, the fuck? I was like, did they fucking forget? Did, like, the writers forget? Are they planning sequels? Why? I would not think, why? How would you make a sequel to this? Is it going to be like John Wick, a little kid version of John Wick, but it's like, instead of everybody fears John Wick, everybody fears Becky? That would be funny. Actually, that would be funny. I'm like, you mean I spent this whole fucking movie with this plot being about a fucking key, and you never tell me what the fuck this key is? The hell? Like, I was really mad about that. I don't know if I was the only one. I was really pissed off about that. Like, like, come on. Like, did they forget? I can only assume that they forgot. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's a pretty key, or no pun intended, key part of this movie. I don't know. Somebody in the comments maybe explain to me what the fuck did I miss something? Because I even looked it up and like there was never any explanation. Like there was never any explanation of how. I guess you could also say there was never any explanation as to how Becky was so good at killing people. But whatever. Dude, I love this movie. It's ridiculous. It's absurd, but I had so much fun. This is the most fun I've had watching any movie since the pandemic on demand. I really love this movie. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I recommend it. I gotta get around the next couple days to watching Infamous, which I hear is not much, which is pretty much gonna be a downgrade from what I've heard. So, yay me. So until then, I will talk to you guys later.